When you take a look at the main cast of Ninjago, specifically the ninja, there's one character that stands out in many ways. Some of these differences, such as the fact that he's the only one of the original four ninja to have more than one voice actor, and he was alleged to be the original leader of the team, are common knowledge. But some require a fan to step back and consider the show as a whole. He's the only person in the main cast, Wu and Pixel included, to never receive a canon love interest. He's the only one of the original four to unlock a specific elemental ability that the others can't use. While his design remains the least changed out of the group, his personality is arguably vastly different from what it used to be. I'm talking, of course, about Cole. And the things I've listed are trivia facts that many fans are aware of, but when you dig even deeper, pun not intended, into the character that is Cole, he begins to get a little bit more interesting. While his fellow ninjas, specifically the other three of the original cast, are complex characters with their own motives and struggles, Cole seemed to be vastly more convoluted. Not only that, but the show has a tendency to completely brush over his struggles and highlight the challenges the other ninja face. The one time his struggles had been truly highlighted was Master of the Mountain, the only season that was Cole-centric. An example of this favoring other characters I've picked up on is in the Oni trilogy. During the trilogy, Cole falls off of the bounty, presumably to his death, and the ninja are devastated. Naturally. This is a moment that should revolve around him. However, during the final battle, he comes back. None of the other characters have many questions about this. He's just thrown his scythe and jumps into battle, which, okay, yeah, sure, fine. They'll definitely bring this up after the fight is completed, and we'll have a tearful reunion. Except no, they won't, because Lloyd is now the one who's presumed dead. The writers needed to fit in the scene with the first Spinjitzu Master, which, don't get me wrong, is an incredible moment in Ninjago's storyline. It's beautiful, and the message and implications are very interesting. However, it draws away from Cole and his struggles. Once Lloyd wakes up, we don't get a heartfelt reunion between Cole and the others because it simply doesn't fit. The attention has been shifted to Lloyd. Many such cases of this throughout Ninjago's storyline. And Cole isn't the only victim of Lloyd favoritism. Cole seems to be just as troubled as Lloyd is, yet his struggles aren't fully realized nearly as much. Why is this? And what is the full extent of his struggles? Well, being the Ninjago nerd, veteran, and historian I am, and seeing as no one else is going to do it, I've decided to make the massive contribution to society that is analyzing a cartoon character from a show made for children. So without further ado, I'm your host Corbian, and this is the thing about Cole. First, let's establish the timeline of events for Cole's upbringing. Cole, whose last name could be Steele, Brookstone, Hence, or Bucket depending on who you ask, was born to Lily and Lou in a small village near Ninjago City. His mother, Lily, was the elemental master of Earth, a power and responsibility passed down to her by her father. His father, Lou, was and still is a member of the Royal Blacksmiths, a quartet that does singing and dancing. Cole was a protector since the very beginning, evidenced by his child self getting in trouble by sticking up for the smaller kids in school by picking fights with the bullies. While he personally wanted to be a hero like his mother, Lou seemed to discourage this, pushing his son in the direction of song and dance to carry the Royal Blacksmith legacy. At some point in Cole's early childhood, Lily became seriously ill. This seemed to last a while and was presumably uncurable, as she passes away when Cole was a little bit older. He becomes frustrated with Lou, who spends most of his time singing and dancing with the Royal Blacksmiths, and feels like he has to do most of the housework. He handles his grief and his frustrations by climbing mountains, where he one day meets Sensei Wu and tells him of his troubles. This, of course, leads to Wu recruiting him to be a ninja. He runs away from home and tells Lou that he's going to the Marty Oppenheimer School of Performing Arts. Apparently, at some point in his life, he'd attended the school for a grand total of 2 days, which might be why he used the school as a cover. He managed to keep the charade going by sending Lou letters about how things were going at the school. The rest is history. But we know all of that. Cole was a protective kid who didn't want to follow in his father's footsteps, so instead he carried on his mother's legacy and vowed to stand up to those who were cruel and unjust. He loves cake, is a horrible chef, and is a party pooper that would bring a book to a battlefield so he doesn't get bored. That's about it. That's his character, right? I mean, it's never been elaborated on past that, so that's gotta be all there is. Well, my friend, you are wrong. What if I were to tell you that there's a deeper piece to Cole's story? one that's only hinted at in the show and never outright said on screen. And no, I'm not referring to a certain possibility for his character the fandom loves to bring up, though I do completely agree with that viewpoint, and if you want to complain about my opinion on that, please file your grievances in the provided feedback bin pictured here. That's not my main focus for this video. Whether you love that way or hate that way of looking at his character, it's very obviously there, and the fandom doesn't need to do much critical thinking or digging to see it. No, what I'm bringing to the table is something that I see a shockingly tiny amount of people discuss or even look into. What I'm serving you today is quite the treat. Some people are going to be surprised at this interpretation. Some people are going to be a bit relieved that somebody is talking about it. Some people are going to be pretty mad that I'm looking at his character in this way. Some people are going to realize that I'm currently stalling on saying what that thing is. Well, ladies and gentlemen, wait no further. I'm here to convince you that Cole from Ninjago has depression. Wait, that's it? Yes, it's a very simple concept. Throughout the show, Cole is learning to live with depression. And he's struggling hard with it, actually. There's a really insane amount of hints to this in the show that get glossed over so often it makes my head explode just thinking about it. Well, if there's so many of these hints, why isn't this talked about more? Excellent question! I don't know. I honestly think it might just be because people don't see it as important or recognize the behaviors as clues towards depression. Now be silent and check this out. Depression can mean many different things. A short period of time where a person feels a large amount of sadness, a longer period of time where a person feels extremely sad and unwilling to do things, a mental disorder caused by imbalances in brain chemicals which makes a person feel like utter and total garbage. This last form of depression sometimes doesn't affect a person much. Sometimes it sort of lays dormant in a person until triggered. When dealing with a deeply upsetting event, such as the death of a family member perhaps, the depression can arise and cause major mental health and habit issues. These issues include, but are not limited to, stress eating, especially sweeter or comfort foods, feeling disconnected from family or friends, feeling as though you have something to prove or that you're not good enough, heightened paranoia, or fearing many things, laziness or a lack of motivation, low self-esteem or bringing yourself down over small mistakes or shortcomings and seeing issues in yourself where there are none. Sound familiar? There are many things that fans know about Cole. He was allegedly the leader of the team before Lloyd, but it's not really presented in the show, but it's implied and widely accepted by the fans to be true. Everybody knows that. But it's never really brought up outside of Master of the Mountain. And honestly, in the early seasons, he didn't have much going for him at all. These things are assumed because there wasn't much there. He didn't have much of a set personality. He was just kind of the fourth guy on the team because they needed one. So not much can be drawn from these early seasons. But there's one exception to this. The Royal Blacksmiths. It's an episode every fan is familiar with. And aside from literally having the same energy as a teenager trying to come out to their parents,
I didn't mean for you to hear that, but I'm glad you did. There's something I've been wanting to tell you.
It serves as our first clue towards Cole's family life and relationship with people outside of the ninja. The result is rocky. He's hiding who he is from Lou because he doesn't want to disappoint. He wants to prove himself, even if he doesn't get along with Lou and claims to not like singing and dancing. I didn't really pick up on much of what this meant when I was watching as a kid, but on my rewatch of the show, this was the episode that really started to get the gears turning for me on what this meant for Cole's character. In addition, Cole has a history with fears and overcoming them. He was afraid of dragons, then ended up loving his dragon more than any of his teammates loved theirs. He was afraid of facing his dad and dancing on stage, which he got over to win the Blade Cup and save his father, unlocking his true potential. He was afraid of ghosts, and he got over it when he was turned into one and had to face off against Sensei Yang. His whole journey throughout the show has been a constant up and down. He fights his struggles at every turn, trying to better himself and push for that betterment. As such, I personally believe that he was shaped into a character that kids struggling with depression could relate with and look up to. When I was going through middle school, that's exactly how his character comforted me. I saw a lot of myself in him because he was struggling and trying to improve himself all the while. Something that a lot of kids with depression are struggling to do. Think I'm reaching on that? Well, check out this excerpt from a canon book written by Master Wu. Again, it is canon to the story. Cole tested himself by climbing one of the tallest mountains on Ninjago Island, and I met him at the peak. Something was troubling Cole, and he was fighting it on the inside. Cole always wants to be the best at everything. When I told him about the potential I saw in him, he was eager to study to become a master of spinjitzu. Another point in the Cole might have depression category, and if that doesn't convince you, here's another quote from that same book. Cole found himself trapped inside Yang's haunted temple, the old Temple of Air Jitsu, at sunrise. As the legends foretold, he was transformed into a ghost. He became depressed, believing that as a ghost he could no longer be a part of the ninja team. Welp, you heard that, folks. Canon. Video over. No, but seriously, this is just another huge clue in my list of evidence. This one is literally just Master Wu flat out confirming what I'm saying in a canon piece of Ninjago literature. But I have more for you, so sit back down. Cole's next biggest implications of depression come from possession. We all know what I'm about to bring up. Cole dies, rip bozo, but he's still with the team as a ghost. And this is what Master Wu was describing when he said that Cole was depressed. Cole gets genuinely bummed out for a good portion of this season because he feels like he can't do anything to help the team. He's bringing himself down for something that is out of his control. Wow, it's almost like that was related to one of my earlier points. But this is something he overcomes, just like his problem with Lou, this time in Day of the Departed. So it seems Cole is pretty good at managing his feelings, with things spiking only when seriously provoked. He takes care of himself well, he kind of has to, his job requires that he keeps a level head. He carries a lot of weight silently. Things wouldn't be revealed until season 13. But I'm getting ahead of myself. Before we talk about Master of the Mountain, let's make a pit stop at the Oni trilogy again. I've already brought up how Lloyd's whoopsie in the form of being crushed by a giant slab of wood and dying yanked focus away from Cole. But what about even before that? Rewind, if you will, from March of the Oni to Sons of Garmadon and Hunted. Yeah, Cole has another moment where he overcomes a fear. This one is singing again to do a thing in Laffy's and then to calm Baby Wu down, but that's not really what I'm focused on. In these 2 seasons, Cole throws a lot of responsibilities on himself. Find Master Wu, take leadership and responsibility in the team again, stray away from sweets, raise a random kid he found in a dungeon, as one does, keep calm for the team, as well as the obvious take down the bad guys. If you'll notice, he gets angry with his friends and accuses them of not caring as much about these things, especially about Wu going missing. Ringing any bells? He showed that same frustration with Lou after Lily died. He's repeating the cycle. In fact, he does this more than once. After Zane's death, the first one, he splits from the team to become a lumberjack and is frustrated with everyone, isolating himself, trying to take responsibility, and hyper-focusing on brute force things just seem to be what he does when he loses someone. It's that spiral of depression, and he goes through it again in Sons of Garmadon. He needs to occupy his grieving brain, and what better way to do that than becoming a dill? But anyways, he piles on the responsibilities and strives for perfection to keep himself busy. Now let's jump forward a bit in time to the ice chapter of Secrets of Forbidden Spinjitzu, because I need to talk about... Ladies and gentlemen, normal people do not have a dream about a mistake they made, wake up angry with themselves and everyone around them, and then storm off into the mountains where they will likely freeze and die. Cole made an understandable mistake while the group was on the brink of death that everyone understood and quickly forgave him for. Yet his brain still convinces him that he is a terrible person for something no one is mad at him for, in the form of a dream where everyone hates him. And then he gets upset with Kai over something that literally didn't happen. And then he makes a small mistake and openly gripes about how terrible he is in front of Nia. His solution to all of this? Go and fix the problem, completely alone, by himself. This one scene in the ice chapter was literally my biggest piece of evidence in my opinion, because he's being openly self-deprecating and goes off to do something he knows is extremely dangerous that he would not normally do in any other setting. Now, ladies and gents, before I close the curtains on this video, I have one final season I'd like to discuss with you, because it literally shapes Cole's character more than any other piece of canon content. I'm talking about the cinematic masterpiece that is Master of the Mountain. My favorite Ninjago season for many, many reasons. It's beautiful. It's got an incredible villain, lovable side characters, and what other season has Plundar? But I'm not here to talk about Plundar, the best character ever made, or get into how awesome this is. I'm here to show you that Master of the Mountain brings this all home. Cole has been working to better himself and manage his depression throughout the entire show. I've shown you that. And in Master of the Mountain, he finally takes a huge step in that journey. He fulfills on his own the promise he made to his mother in the place she was most connected to. He finishes something she started in his own way, living up to her legacy and making her proud, while also doing it for himself. He was doing something he'd been striving for the whole show. We as viewers just didn't know that. That's because Cole keeps his internal battles quiet. Avid fans may pick up on the signs in the show, but to most, he's just the rock-steady, cake-loving hero. When you peel back the outer layer to truly look fully into his character, you're left with an incredible story about a young man who does his absolute best in life to overcome his obstacles, to be the best version of himself despite what life has thrown at him. He was meant to be an inspiration to kids watching the show and struggling. He shows them to keep trying, keep pushing. Things get better when you stay strong and you work on yourself. Tomorrow is another day, and Ninja never quit. Thank you all so much for sitting through all of this video. It's like 20 minutes long. So thank you for listening to me ramble about a cartoon character I like for so long. I thought of sharing an interpretation I've had on this character for years, and I thought it would be a good introduction to my Ninjago-themed videos. I've been a fan ever since the pilot episodes aired, if you can believe it, so it's a bit baffling that I've never tried my hand at a Ninjago YouTube video. I hope me rambling into the abyss was to your liking. I hope I got my points across well. This is the first video other than my Unikitty discussion, which is very old and kind of just younger me trying to figure out what I wanted to do with YouTube. It wasn't very good. I feel like this one was more solid, and I'm hoping that it came across that way, and it came across as having a point. So yeah, if you want to see more of what I'm saying, then here is this for you to follow. I also hang out on Krusty's Discord server. I'm going to make my own Discord server, but I'm going to do that when I hit 3,000 subscribers. That's the goal. So, speaking of Krusty, big shout out to him. His videos were actually my inspiration to start trying my hand in Ninjago discussions because I really liked his content and he's a really nice guy. So please go subscribe to him and follow him if you are not already doing so. Promise you it's worth your time. He's a fantastic dude. Hey, I am stealing some tips from one of his videos, but I'm trademarking it. They're mine now. You can't do anything about it. This is the law. So anyway, thank you for listening to me spewing all of my little ideas onto a Google Doc and then talking into my microphone for so long. You're all real cool for doing that. And Krusty, you're a real cool dude for inspiring me so much. Hope all of you are having a fantastic day, night, morning, whatever it is for you. That's all I really got for today. I've been Corbian, and this was the thing about Cole.